With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report, episode number 3 of my 3-part series entitled Training Camp Primer. We talked about the 5 biggest storylines for the Redskins heading into training camp in episode number 1. In episode 2, we talked about the biggest concern you have for the Redskins going into training camp. And now here in episode number 3, the third and final episode, we're going to discuss who the biggest X factors are on this Redskins roster. Now, I've expanded this topic to contain not only the biggest X factors on this football team on both the offense and defensive sides of the football for this team going into the season, but also I've also added in the prove it category. And so X factors to me are guys that help this team maximize their full potential, guys that you really don't think the Redskins can fully be the team that they are made to be without these guys having monster seasons. These are the guys that are game changers on their respective sides of the football and need to either take that next step or need to play at the level that we know they're capable of playing at. In the prove it category, it's self-explanatory, all right? These are guys that need to prove it to us in 2019. We know they're talented. We've seen flashes, but we need it on a consistent basis for all 16 games, and we need them to step up at their respective positions because we don't have guys that we know we can count on if they don't step up. So guys that have to prove it are huge for this team as well as the X factors. And this is a very subjective topic here, much like the other two that we've talked about. So I am definitely looking for your comments in the comment section because you may have different X factors. You may have different prove it guys. So leave it in the comment section along with a like and sub up if you haven't already done so to the Louie T Network for more great content now and into the future. Whether you're a Redskins fan or a fan of any of the other teams in the National Football League, we break them all down here on the Louie T Network. In addition to that, check out the Louie T Network podcast, available on Stitcher, Google Music Play, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, and of course, the website louietnetwork.net. With that being said, let's jump into the biggest X factors heading into training camp for the Redskins in the upcoming season, and we'll start on the offensive side of the football. So, you look at the X factor category, and this is a guy that may surprise you. I think when this guy's right, the Redskins maximize their full potential on the offensive side of the football. You may think it's Jordan Reed, but it's not. It's Chris Thompson. And to me, Chris Thompson in 2016 is what I'm looking for. Remember how good he was for the Redskins in 2016? Remember that Sunday night performance against the Oakland Raiders where Chris Thompson had over 200 yards of total offense? That's what Chris Thompson is fully capable of. To me, in 2016, the beginning of the end of that season started in New Orleans when Chris Thompson went down. Our season was already on life support, but once he got injured, our season was over. We had no receiver production. He was pretty much all we had on offense. When he went down, so did any hope and aspirations of making the postseason in 2016. He was one of Kirk Cousins' favorite targets, and for good reason. You know, when you needed a guy on 3rd and 4, Chris Thompson was the guy. Whether it was a check down or an option route, one-on-one versus a tight end, Chris Thompson was the man for the job. There's nothing like a 3rd and 7 that Chris Thompson gets it early on a check down and is able to outrun that linebacker to the sidelines and pick up 8 on 3rd and 7 and move the sticks. Chris Thompson is the ultimate Swiss knife, Army knife, when you're talking about running backs in the backfield. He can pass protect, he can catch it, and he's also a very capable runner. Now, I don't know if this is his last year in DC or not. They drafted Bryce Love for a reason. Now, you could say, well, how long is Adrian Peterson going to last in DC? I don't know. I can tell you this much. Bryce Love is very comparable to Chris Thompson. He is a more explosive version of Chris Thompson. I don't know if they think that those two can both be on the roster and coexist and not take snaps away from each other, but I can tell you this much. If Darius Geis is what we think he is, which is a first and second down power back, bruising back that can hit the occasional home run, and he's going to be offset by a guy like Bryce Love, where does that leave Chris Thompson? I don't know. I can tell you this much, though. In 2019, with Bryce Love still nursing his injury, coming off of surgery, Chris Thompson has a chance to make a statement that he belongs on this roster now and into the future. And a big season from Chris Thompson bodes well, not just for the offense, but more importantly, for the quarterback position. Think about how much of a security blanket Chris Thompson was for Kirk Cousins. Think about how much of a security blanket he could have been for Alex Smith had he been healthy last year. He was not healthy. It felt like he was banged up from the jump last season. Alex Smith loves to check it down to the back. Well, Chris Thompson wasn't available, it seemed like, last year for him at times. At least not healthy, like we know Chris Thompson can be, and effective and efficient like he's been in the past. What's going to be better for a young quarterback like Dwayne Haskins, who checked it down a ton underneath at Ohio State to backs and receivers underneath, than a guy like Chris Thompson? All right, who's going to be better for a guy like Case Keenum, who likes to check it down underneath, who needs to get rid of the football in timing and rhythm, who likes to extend plays with his legs and escape the pocket? What would be better for him than a guy like Chris Thompson on 3rd and 4 to win on an option route and get rid of the football to him? Or on 3rd and 6 when he's scrambling out of the pocket, extending a play to find Chris Thompson leaking out of the backfield, open, down the sideline. And Colt McCoy, in timing and rhythm of the offense, there won't be a better quarterback to run the offense than Colt McCoy. There won't be better synergy on an option route than Chris Thompson and Colt McCoy. So to me, Chris Thompson is a guy that maximizes this offense. If he's healthy, he gives the Redskins the best chance to be the best version of themselves on the offensive side of the football. He makes life easier for everyone. That includes the wide receivers and the tight ends alike. When Thompson comes out of the backfield, he's one of the guys that knows, okay, they're bringing 4, we got 5. I don't need to stay in to protect. I can get into my route quicker. Gives another option to the quarterback. That frees up the tight end over the middle of the football field. If they've got to pay attention to Chris Thompson over the middle of the field, guess what? That frees up Jordan Reed. That frees up Vernon Davis for a big play down the field. So Chris Thompson, to me, is the biggest X factor on the offensive side of the football. He has to be healthy, and he has to be the Chris Thompson that we know he's fully capable of being. We need the 2016 Chris Thompson. That guy was elite. We need him in 2019. You look at X factors on the defensive side of the football, and it's Jonathan Allen for me. Here's a guy that I think is assuming a leadership role in this locker room and on this football team. When you talk about young players that have come in and had a profound impact, not just on the field, but also in the locker room, it's Jonathan Allen. When reporters are looking for a quote in a temperature of the locker room, they go to Jonathan Allen. All right, yeah, we got Trent Williams in the locker room as a leader and Ryan Kerrigan as a veteran that's been around and established. But when you talk about a young player coming in and really carrying himself like a 8-year veteran, you're talking about Jonathan Allen. And he's got the respect of every single member of this football team in the locker room. But more importantly, if you're going to be a leader, you better show it on the field. And he's doing that as well. He took that monumental leap that you want to see from your players in year 2. Year 1, it's a whirlwind. Your head is spinning. You go from playing, 12 to 14 collegiate games to playing a 16 NFL game slate. It's tough, and it's a huge adjustment for a lot of these players. For Allen, he had a banged up freshman campaign in the NFL, And so he was limited. 1 sack. He follows that up with a 16-game healthy campaign. And he did battle through some injuries. Still, 8 sacks. All right. So that's a 7-sack difference in jump from year 1 to year 2. And he was battling injuries from about week 8 on. The healthy Jonathan Allen that we saw early in the season, if we can get that guy for the vast majority of 2019, we could see him take that next step to double-digit sacks. And here's why I think Jonathan Allen can be an X factor in 2019. If Montez Sweat is what we think he is, which is a havoc-wreaking, fear-inducing pass rusher, a difference maker off the edge, if he is what we think he's going to be, he's going to command attention. I think he's going to get the attention of offensive coordinators very early on in his career because he's got that kind of potential. If he is that guy, he's going to command double teams. He's going to force teams to have to chip, keep the tight end in, which is going to give everyone else one-on-one matchups. I'm very confident in Matt Ioannidis' ability to win one-on-one matchups, and I'm even more confident in Jonathan Allen's ability to win one-on-one matchups, and even to a lesser degree, Ryan Kerrigan. If Jonathan Allen is getting singled up on the interior of the defensive line, he has to win. We saw him win big against Green Bay. I broke down the film in that game and showed you times that Jonathan Allen was unblockable. We watched him in Carolina, against Carolina at home in a big win, him make plays in that football game. The Giants game, where he started to break down and he said that's when he started to get injured. Had a sack in that game, and the whole team was dominant up front. We've seen this guy impact games. I want to see him take that next step and be dominant. I want to see him take it to that Fletcher Cox, that Atkins, that Geno Atkins level, that next step of an elite interior defensive lineman. I think he's capable. He's my biggest X factor on the defensive side. If we're getting pressure consistently off the edge and on the interior, it's going to make the job of the secondary and the linebackers that much easier. And a guy like Jonathan Allen, for me, is a guy that can take that next step and become an elite football player. And that's why he's my X factor on the defensive side of the football. Now you go to the prove it section and you start on the offensive side of the football. And this is a big one. For me, it's P. Rich. Paul Richardson has to prove it in year 2 as a Redskin. Here's the thing. We knew what we were getting into when we signed Paul Richardson. He had an injury-plagued past in Seattle. He came to Washington, and what did he do in his first year? He got injured. It's what he does. So we shouldn't have been surprised by the fact that he didn't play all 16. What I was surprised by was by how little we got out of him because he only played in 5 games. All right? We need way more than 5 games out of Paul Richardson. In the little sample size that we got, we saw playmaking ability, however. We saw the big touchdown grab versus Green Bay. We saw the touchdown grab in the back of the end zone versus Carolina. Had a solid game versus Arizona. He had a hell of a catch in that loss on Monday night versus New Orleans, which ended up being his final game in 2018. All right. We know that this guy is fully capable. All right. Doesn't have a 1,000-yard season under his belt, but he's capable of posting 1,000-yard seasons with his ability, with his speed. We need him to take the top off the defense. And I talked about this earlier when we talked about the 5 biggest storylines as an honorable mention. We don't have a lot of veteran presence with our receiving core. He's one of the few. Him and Josh Doctson are the 2 veterans that we have at the receiver position. If you're talking production and guys that have been in the league with a little bit of time, all right? We don't know what we're going to get out of those young guys. We need a veteran to step up. God forbid we have to count on Josh Doctson to be that guy. Josh Doctson is solid, but we look at a guy like Paul Richardson, and he can be a true difference maker. Jay Gruden believes that Paul Richardson is a difference maker. I believe that he is a difference maker. I was a huge advocate of the Redskins signing him last offseason. I have not wavered. I knew he was injury plagued coming to Washington. He needs to stay healthy, number one. And number two, he needs to produce. He's the guy that has to prove it to me in year two. Got a nice deal, a 5-year lucrative contract last offseason to come in and be a pseudo number one. All right. The good thing is, if Paul Richardson decides he can't stay healthy in 2019, we're not going to be speed deficient like we were last year. We depended on Paul Richardson to take the top off the defense last year. If he gets hurt, we'll still have Terry McLaurin, among others, that can run and take the top off the defense. But you know what's better than one guy with speed? 2 guys with speed that can run. And so I would love nothing more than for Paul Richardson to step up and prove it to me in year two. There's only so much that you can do at the receiver position with young guys. You need a veteran to step up and make some plays. Paul Richardson needs to be that guy for the Redskins in 2019. He's got to prove it. All right. Another lackluster season like last year, and there are going to be fans that are going to be calling for the head of Paul Richardson. He needs to step up and stay healthy in 2019 and prove it as a big-time threat at the receiver position for this Redskins football team. And finally, look at my last X factor, and this is a guy that I'm really counting on this year, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on him to, 1, keep his head in the game, and 2, stay healthy, and 3, perform, and that is Montae Nicholson. Man, is this guy talented or what? We've all seen the flashes from Montae Nicholson. We know that this guy is capable. And I don't know if you were paying attention or not, but I'm going to bring it to your attention because I did this on purpose. The artwork for this video, I took a still shot from a game last year that pissed me off and frustrated me to no end. And we were in the game at the time of this photo, and it was this play to me that symbolized where Montae Nicholson was at last year and where he went wrong and why we need him to have his shit together in 2019. All right. Let's take a look at the photo because some of you probably don't remember this particular photo or game. And so if you look below me, there's a picture of Montae Nicholson looking down, trash talking a Saints defender, Drew Brees. I want to say it was Drew Brees, or it might have been the running back, Ingram, on his first game back. Either way, it was a 3rd down early in the game. Redskins were still in it before it became a Drew Brees porn fest. Remember, he broke the record on us that night. But we were in the game. Redskins had some good offensive drives to start. The defense had a chance to get off the field on that possession. Remember, we didn't get off the field on many possessions on the night. But that was one of the few early in the game. Had a chance to get off the field on a 3rd down. We got the stop. Montae looks down, trash talks, picks up a senseless personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. They extend the drive, they score, and we don't stop them the rest of the night. That was indicative in a microcosm of where Montae's head was last year. Yeah, Montae was a little banged up last year, but more than that, the Redskins coaching staff lost faith in Montae Nicholson. The front office lost faith and confidence in Montae Nicholson. That's why they traded for HaHa Clinton-Dix. You listen to Jay Gruden, he wanted no parts of that trade. He wanted Montae to play and figure it out because he knows how talented he is. But Bruce Allen, who made that HaHa Clinton-Dix trade on his own, said, nope, we're going to play HaHa Clinton-Dix. So Montae Nicholson is a guy that has to step up. He's got to prove it in 2019. We saw him in 2017 as a rookie come in, and we saw so much talent, it wasn't even funny. All right? It was ridiculous how much talent this guy was. I was so wrong about Montae Nicholson. I didn't think he was physical enough. The dude is stupid physical, almost to a fault. Remember, he had the stinger in his rookie season. It crept up last year. He's had concussions. All of this from physical play. So me questioning his physicality was stupid. It was nonsensical. All right. But the thing that makes this guy different is his athleticism. It's what sets him apart. His range on the football field. We've seen this guy go track footballs down. We remember the Raiders game where he goes and picks it off, 2 years ago in 2016. We've seen this guy play at a very high level. All right. 2017, whenever that game was against the Raiders, where he goes up and gets the football. We've seen this guy make plays. We know this guy is talented. We know this guy can play at a high level. We need him to step up. We need someone to play opposite Landon Collins. I feel confident that we're going to get very good play out of Landon Collins. But we need a yin to Landon Collins' yang. I think Landon Collins is best served playing in the box. I don't think he's limited to just the box, but I think he's at his best around or at the line of scrimmage. Montae Nicholson can be a force away from it. He needs to stay healthy, 1, and 2, he needs to stay plugged in. No off-the-field transgressions, no on-the-field transgressions. Play fast, play free, play fluid, play physical. Be Montae Nicholson. We know that you're talented. He's got to prove it, though. And not just on the field with his play, but being able to stay healthy. He's got to prove that he can stay healthy for 16 games and that he can produce at a high level during that stretch. I know he's capable with the talent that he's shown us, but it's only been brief flashes. We haven't seen enough, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's going to be key for us defensively. He gets hurt or he doesn't play well, the safety position could be in jeopardy. All right? We could be in a very perilous state at the safety position. I've already talked about that being one of my 5 biggest training camp storylines because the safety position, the depth there, to me, isn't where it needs to be. So we need Montae to step up. So for me, he's got to prove it in 2019. I know he's confident and competent, but if he doesn't get it done in 2019, the Redskins may be looking to move on from Montae Nicholson. This may be his last chance in a Redskins uniform. And I would hate to see him flourish elsewhere. We've seen it happen before. It wouldn't be the first, and it probably won't be the last. But this is a guy with talent. We know it to be true. Now we just need to see it come to fruition on the football field. So those are my guys. X factors on the offensive side and defensive side of the football, Chris Thompson and Jonathan Allen, respectively, at those sides of the football. And on the offensive and defensive side, to prove it to me, I've got Paul Richardson on offense, and I've got Montae Nicholson on defense. Who are your guys? Who are your X factors in 2019? Leave it in the comment section below, along with a like. Can't wait to read your comments. I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. That's going to wrap up my series. There's more content coming. Don't you worry. We'll be talking Redskins frequently leading up to training camp and into training camp. So don't you go anywhere. We're going to break down these divisions here shortly, including the NFC East. So stay tuned for that. More details to come. But again, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Until next time, you guys have a good one.
Louie T.